Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denanu, and I'm the man with black privilege. And in this video here, we're going to be talking about Swamp Thing. And I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the comic book, but I've been a fan of Swamp Thing, I want to say, since the 80s. I remember watching the earlier movies that came out in the 80s. I think they even had like a mini-series type TV show that came out in the late 80s to early 90s. But ever since then, I've been a fan of the character. I haven't read most of the earlier comics, so I'm not going to jump into it from that. But I read a little bit of the comics, but I'm not as I'm going to say well versed in Swamp Thing as I am in, let's say, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Marvel comic books, and the major DC stuff. But DC, whatever their streaming service is called, I forget what it is, they came out with Swamp Thing, and honestly, I was expecting it to be garbage. I was expecting to come on here and just talk tons of shit about how much it sucks, because basically, I remember watching a couple episodes of Titans, and that was just utter garbage. Didn't like that at all. I haven't watched Doom Patrol yet, but I know when I first seen the trailer for it, I was like, oh, this looks like some garbage too. But I know a lot of people are saying how good that is, so I can't really complain about that because I haven't seen it. But with this here, I was expecting trash, honestly. And when I watched it, I was like, you know what? I know who Swamp Thing is. Let me watch the first episode, see what it is, and I'll be damned if it wasn't good. I've watched the first episode at least probably 3 times already. Just got finished watching the second episode and hearing some news about the show, but it's damn good. Like I think it's done by I want to say James Wan, I think, the horror guy, the guy who did Aquaman. I think it's the same guy, and it's damn good, YouTube. It really is. It has a whole horror type vibe to it that I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting just the story of Swamp Thing, like the guy who gets killed, that he becomes Swamp Thing and he goes after the people or the people that killed him. But they got this whole horror movie type vibe to it about how the swamp is coming alive and stuff like that, and then he becomes Swamp Thing in like the end of the first episode. And I'm assuming they're gonna lead into like the green and stuff like that from the comic books, or maybe touch on that. They probably won't fully jump into that idea, but maybe they might touch on that a little bit, once they explain why the swamp is coming to life and stuff like that. Because in the first 2 episodes, they lead you to believe that it's part of, let's say, like a mutagen that's being dumped into the swamp that's making the swamp, I guess, sentient or maybe reactive to the people that's dumping stuff in the swamp, and it's going around killing them. But I'm assuming like once they get towards the end, they're gonna be like, hey, look, the mutagens just woke up something else, and that's when they're gonna touch on the green stuff. But it's damn good. It feels like you're watching a horror movie, a good one, and not like one of those shitty jump scares ones. It's damn good. The atmosphere is good. The music always has that horror movie type tone and vibe to it. The way they shoot certain things and the CG that they have to make like the branches and stuff grow around or through people, damn good. If you see that, just watch the trailer for it, and it kind of shows a little bit in the Swamp Thing trailer, but it's just really, really good the way they did it. And it hurts my heart to see DC actually come out with something really, really good. And guess what? They've already fucking canceled it. A couple days ago, I was waiting for the second episode to come out, and seen this article online, and it was like, hey, look, guess what? We canceled Swamp Thing. I'm like, what? Swamp Thing was like really fucking good. Why would you cancel the good shit? Cancel fucking Titans. Or like, I can't say cancel Doom Patrol because like a lot of people say that's really good, so I can't. I haven't seen that, so I'm not gonna say cancel that. But Titans, fucking cancel that shit. Like they've already announced like a second season to that. It's like, why? Fuck Titans. Fuck Batman. Fuck Titans. They need to focus on this Swamp Thing show. But from what I was reading up about, I guess the cancellation. I think it's not that they're canceling it for any particular reason with the show, because everybody is saying nothing but good things about it, you know, in reviews and stuff like that. I think they're canceling it because they had like wherever they shot the show, they had like some kind of tax deal going on with the state, and I think that kind of sort of fell through. And it's like mismanagement, if anything. Like it's not the show being bad is the reason why they canceled it. It's just they fucked up. They don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, who's ever making these business decisions. And number one, they probably didn't have faith in the character, because outside of people like myself who read comic books, you don't know who Swamp Thing is. You know, maybe if you're if you're my age or older, you may have seen the 80s movies from back in the day, but they were garbage. You know, they weren't good. Maybe the miniseries from back in the day, but again, it wasn't good. It's just nobody knows who the character is, except I guess if you've seen the DC animated movies. You know, he was in Justice League Dark, I think, and so you may have seen him in that. He's been in a couple comic book runs and here and there over the past couple years. So you may know who Swamp Thing is if you look at him, but you don't know his character or nothing like that. So nobody knows who this guy is unless you're a fan of the comic books or a fan of Swamp Thing in particular. So they probably didn't have no faith in the character. They probably didn't, they probably don't have enough subs in their streaming service. So that's probably killing them too. But that's one of those things where it's like, well, what could you do? Because I mean, you can't come out with a streaming service and then expect those Netflix numbers. That's not going to happen. You have to have content on your platform for people to want to, subscribe to your service. You have to give them something in order to get their money from them. And I don't think they're doing that. I mean, and this show in particular, you're giving something really good, but then again, you've already announced that you've canceled it. So now, who's to say they won't cancel anything else that they say they might have on their streaming service? It's not a bad look, because now people are going to look at this and be like, well, okay, well, why should I sub to, DC streaming platform? Why should I do it? What reason are you giving them to, sub to your platform? They don't have no faith in your product, so you're not going to get that sub. That's just the way it is. And it's just, as a comic book fan, it's sad to me because, like I said, Swamp Thing is really, really good. I'm hoping that maybe once the 10 episode run is over, that fans or that people watch it like that, so maybe they might reconsider and be like, oh, you know what? Well, we got tons of people watching it, so, let's get that season 2 out there. But I just don't think that's going to happen due to the mismanagement of the resources that they made the show from. Because from what I understand, the swamp area in Swamp Thing, they kind of built that up themselves as like a concrete type swamp area that they made specifically for the show, and they can't just pick up that and move that to another location and then continue on making the episodes. That they would have to destroy it and then spend the money to build up another one. That's what they would have to do. And it just sucks because it's like the show was decent, they fucked it up. Mismanagement and doing all the shitty shit behind the scenes, trying to get deals from states and stuff like that. They messed up this show, and this show could be something that's really, really, really good. And it makes me mad that they fucked it up. Why couldn't they fuck up Titans and then leave this just fine? But it is what it is, YouTube. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on Swamp Thing there. Definitely watch the show. If you're into, let's say, Swamp Thing, or if you're into horror movies, definitely watch it. It's 2 episodes in so far. I think it's going to be 10 episodes, releasing once per week on their streaming service. If you don't feel like subbing to their streaming service, I will say there are ways to get it on the internet, and I'm going to leave it at that. But anyways, fellas, my name is Denanu. Peace out. Thank you for watching.